Rishi Sunak is set to face yet another rebellion over his vaping ban and ambitions for a smoke-free generation. But is this truly the right decision or an unnecessary nanny state intervention from the government? To discuss this, I'm joined by the Director General of the UK Vaping Industry Association, John Dunne, and Ewan Fisher, an ex-smoker who almost died from vaping as a teenager. Welcome to both of you. The Independent Republican Mike Graham is the place to debate this kind of stuff. Let's talk, first of all, about the situation regarding what it's like now, because at the moment, it seems to me, John, if I come to you first, teenagers will get hold of whatever it is that they want to get hold of. I'm told by teenagers that I speak to, and I've got two myself, that basically you're not supposed to buy these vapes if you're under 18 anyway. So what is this actually going to do to change that?
Absolutely nothing. In fact, it's actually going to make the problem worse, because instead of having a market that's predominantly dominated by legitimate brands, you're going to turn this over to criminals and the black market. That's all that's going to happen.
Right.
You know, Rishi Sunak is deluded if he thinks this is going to make disposable vapes go away. And then you're going to have an environmental nightmare as well, because nobody in the industry is going to fund the recycling.
And where do most of these vapes, if you're going to talk about these disposable vapes, where do most of them come from? Where are they manufactured?
Everything is manufactured in a city called Shenzhen in China. This is where most vapes come from worldwide. But they've grown in popularity in the last 2 years. And that's why we're starting to see it hit the news. But they're not a new product. They've been around for well over 15 years.
Yeah. Well, I think I was first shown, I used to smoke until I was about 2017, and I was shown those kind of things that actually look like cigarettes, but have got a battery in them.
Yep.
And those were, I presume, not the disposable kind, but they've certainly been around since 7 or 8 years ago.
No, even the ones you're talking about that look like a cigarette back in the day, those did come in a disposable form. And the reason disposables were always so popular, especially amongst the high smoking areas and the low income areas, is because they are a low entry point into vaping. But they are quite expensive to use if you use them on a regular basis. And that's why the open tank systems, where consumers fill the device themselves, became popular, because it's far more cost efficient to do it that way. But the problem here really isn't the products themselves, it's how young people are getting them. And this is why one of the things that we've called on the government to do is license vape retailers and distributors to make sure that they understand that they have to age gate these products, and then fine the hell out of those ones that don't do it. We had a story about 3 weeks ago where a court up north fined a retailer who sold vapes to a 14-year-old on 2 different occasions. The court fined him £28, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
We want to see that fine him a minimum of £10,000, because that's what's going to stop these rogue retailers from selling to kids.
Yeah, exactly. Ewan, let me come to you. You and I have spoken before about how terribly dangerous it was for you to get more or less addicted to vaping, and how you almost died in hospital as a result. I mean, where were you getting your vapes at the age of 16, and is it different now?
So I was getting them from the local high street shops, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah.
And I've even been in myself before and got one from a reputable company.
Right.
Or it was even easy enough just to ask anybody. You could ask anybody and they'd probably go in and get it you, even if you was in your school uniform.
Right.
And I don't really know how easy it is now, but it seems that all the kids that I see every morning going to school or leaving school, whatnot, they're all vaping. So there must be like an easier way of getting them somehow.
Well, there must be. And a lot of people who are critical of this policy by Rishi Sunak say that the whole point of vapes is that they're supposed to be an alternative to smoking cigarettes. And so they're supposed to be a better idea than smoking cigarettes. And one of the things that might happen if they ban them is that the kids will just start smoking cigarettes again.
Yeah, no, that could happen. Of course it could. But the thing that I'm also thinking is, well, smoking was looked at as something positive like 40, 50 years ago. And how's anybody to say that vaping isn't going to be the exact same as what smoking used to be? So now all the bad consequences have come out and people are dying all the time and whatnot. Who's to say within the next however many years that vaping isn't going to cause the exact same effects?
Well, that's true. John, let me come back to you. I mean, is there any evidence, for example, that the amount of vaping has gone up and it could go back down again. You know how teenagers are famously sort of faddish, aren't they? I mean, I don't see, for example, as many of those little canisters of laughing gas on the ground as I used to see, say, about a year ago. I don't know whether that's because it's become more difficult to get them or whether people have moved on. But I do wonder sometimes if you just leave it alone, whether it just becomes something that kids don't do so much in a year.
I think to a point you will get there. We've seen that happen in the US, where vaping became very popular, and now it's dissipating. But again, you know, Ewan talks about it. It's really easy to get these products, and that's why we've got to really come down hard on those retailers that are selling them to kids. But you've made another point as well about you know, what happens to smoking rates when things get banned. There's been a lot of reports done recently where smoking rates go up around about 4.6% if vapes are banned.
Right.
And if you look at a place like Australia, for instance, that's brought in a ban on vaping products, 95% of vapers in Australia now buy illegal products from the black market.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
And as far as the way that the business is going to work, I mean, you'll know the difference, John, and I won't, between sort of what you might call regular licensed shops or reputable shops. I mean, I see everywhere I go vape shops opening up. I don't know whether they're legitimate vape shops. I would have no idea what I was buying if I went into one. I wouldn't have a clue as to whether they needed to apply to sell what they're selling, what sort of duty of care they've got. I mean, are we in a kind of Wild West situation here?
The fact of the matter is we have lots of laws in this country around the age gating of this product. But the fact of the matter is that those laws are not being enforced at all. So the idea of bringing in more laws because the other laws aren't being enforced just seems comical to me.
Yeah.
But the other problem as well is that, you know, and this is why we're asking for the licensing of the products, is that I'm seeing butcher shops, I'm seeing hairdressers all selling these disposable vapes that have no idea that legally they are obliged to look for ID when they sell these products.
Yes.
And the other issue that we've got in this country, and I had to actually bring it to the attention of both trading standards and the government, is that non-nicotine containing vapes have no regulation at all. And it's legal for a 5-year-old to go in and buy a non-nicotine vape. No, it'd have to be over 18.
Right.